Monday, November 18, 1963. The presidential plane arrives at Tampa, Florida. President Kennedy will make 3 speeches in Tampa. His major address delivered to the 47th annual meeting of the Florida State Chamber of Commerce. At headquarters, United States Strike Command, for a classified briefing. And the presidential party moves on to another stop on a crowded schedule. During this one day, President Kennedy makes 5 speeches in Tampa, Miami, and Miami Beach. At Lopez Field in Tampa, the president participates in ceremonies honoring the 50th anniversary of a flight from Tampa to St. Petersburg, remarking that even though the venture went bankrupt, it contributed to the progress that made this country #1 in aviation. The International Airport at Miami. President Kennedy speaks briefly to those who come to welcome his arrival. His major address will be delivered to the Inter-American Press Association at a meeting held at a Miami Beach hotel. He speaks of social justice, economic welfare, political democracy, and international responsibility. Here are some of the thoughts expressed by President Kennedy on this November 18, 1963.
What we are attempting to do in the United States in 1963, both at home and abroad, is relatively simple. And that is to maintain the peace, to maintain the vital interests of the United States, to maintain the economy of the United States moving ahead fast enough to absorb the millions of people who are coming into the labor market every year. I know as you sit here in this city and in Florida, that you must sometimes wonder what our policies are. I think their execution is difficult, but what we're trying to do is simple. Whether we work in the White House, or the State House, or in a house of industry or commerce, mankind is our business. And if we work in harmony, if we understand the problems of each other and the responsibilities that each of us bears, then surely the business of mankind will prosper. And your children and mine will move ahead in a secure world, and one in which there's opportunity for them all. And it is on the Alliance for Progress that we base our common hope for the future. That hope is for a hemisphere where every man has enough to eat and a chance to work, where every child can learn, and every family can find decent shelter. It is for a hemisphere where every man, from the American Negro to the Indian of the Altiplano, can be liberated from the bonds of social injustice, free to pursue his talents as far as they will take him. It is a hope for a hemisphere of nations, each confident in the strength of its own independence, devoted to the liberty of its citizens, and joined with all the nations of the West in an association based on national strength and a common dedication to freedom. For we all share in this hemisphere a common heritage. And if the idea of Atlantic community is to have full meaning, it must include the nations of Latin America. Robert Frost wrote 50 years ago, "Nothing is true except a man or men adhere to it, to live for it, to spend themselves on it, to die for it." We need this spirit even more than money or institutions or agreements. With it, we can make the Alianza para el Progreso a reality for generations who are coming in this hemisphere. And ultimately, we will hold a continent where more than 20 strong nations live in peace, their people in hope and liberty, and believing strongly in a free future.